right, nice to see everyone again. Hopefully you had a good morning since I was last up here. It is my great pleasure to be introducing the PopWheels team. This is a company that truly was designed from the ground up to provide safe charging technologies and a swapping service to meet the needs of urban delivery workers who rely on e-micromobility to make a living. And I first met Baruch and David, I think it was just over a year ago, early 2023, as they were working to bring PopWheels' first system online. And what I was struck by at first the most was just their tenacity and, frankly, their deep understanding of the customer that they were trying to serve. That's not something you always see with a founding team, and it really excited me in terms of what they were building. But frankly, what I also saw was that they were going to need to work with a lot of different people in the city to bring their systems online in the way that they were envisioning, both here in New York and eventually in other cities. And we know that it's no small feat to bring together all of the entities that really need to work effectively together to bring this type of service online in the public realm. So as part of our DOT studio, it's really been our pleasure here at Newlab to work with PopWheels over the better part of the last year to get their battery swapping cabinets deployed at several locations across Manhattan and Brooklyn. And to do so, we've been working really closely with our partners at DOT, who are in the audience, partners at FDNY, New York City Economic Development Corporation, the Mayor's Office of Tech and Innovation. The list goes on. There's a lot of different parties that really have to come together to deploy tech in the public right-of-way in New York City. And you heard me say, we've been working together for the better part of the last year. That may sound like a long time, but in terms of getting a new technology on the streets of New York City, that's lightning speed. So it's moved quickly. You see the DOT team giving thumbs up to that one. So the pilot is currently live that you're going to be hearing about today, and we are in a phase right now of monitoring, evaluation, getting feedback, and that's incredibly important because the city is going to be using the insights and the learnings from this pilot to inform their long-term strategy and investment into safe, accessible charging infrastructure for the city. So this is a pilot with a real purpose, and we're thrilled to have played a small part in bringing it to life. So I won't steal David's thunder, but I will say that at least anecdotally, the outpouring of support for this type of technology has been incredible. There's been delivery workers showing up in droves to get onboarded to the system and to give this a try. So it's been a success all around. So with that, I'm going to welcome to the stage David Hammer to tell you more about it.
All right. Hi, folks. I'm David Hammer. Together with Baruch Hertzfeld, we're the co-founders of PopWheels. And what do? We think we've cracked the code to deploying municipal-scale battery swapping here in the United States. So look, you don't have to be a visionary to look for urban-scale battery swapping. All you really have to do is get on a plane. The cities from Taipei to Delhi and everywhere in between, you're now starting to see over the last few years municipal scale battery swapping infrastructure for micromobility. Companies like Gogoro you may have heard of, but there's dozens you haven't, ranging from supporting trikes and three-wheeled scooters all the way to bikes. But it hasn't made its way here yet. It's not in North America, it's barely in Europe. It's really still a green field, and the question is why? And the answer is what problem are you solving? What is the problem? Where is the problem that merits this technology? In New York, we have two. One you might have heard about, the other you might not have heard about yet. So the first problem is the battery fire crisis that's currently engulfing our city. Over the last 5 years, there's been an incredible increase in the number of delivery workers, and one of the amazing things is they're using e-bikes to get around. There's been this incredible bottoms-up adoption of electric mobility from a group of folks who you don't necessarily think of as being primary customers for it. And that's actually a result of years of investment in infrastructure around things like bike lanes that make it the fastest way for them to do their jobs. But when they buy their bikes, they buy batteries, they charge those batteries at home, they charge them in unsafe charging environments, It's not their fault. They don't know what, they're not necessarily experts in battery technology. But what happens is these batteries get charged unsafely, and they catch fire, and they burn down buildings. Last year in New York City, there were 268 battery fires. They killed 18 people. Those numbers are more than a 4x increase over what they were just 3 years ago, and they continue to go up. This is the definition of a crisis. The second issue that you may not have heard as much about is the affordability crisis for delivery workers. So again, there's this wonderful thing that they're adopting electric mobility, but it's expensive. Your average delivery worker spends more than $1,000 a year just to be able to charge and maintain their batteries. That's because a single battery isn't enough for them to work a full day. So they have to buy a second battery. They have to pay someone to keep their second battery charged in the central business district so they can go retrieve it. All in all, they want to be adopters of these types of technologies, and they want to continue using them, but it's expensive and it's not easy. And over the last year or two, as it's gotten harder, you're starting to see sometimes a shift away from that back towards gas-powered mopeds, towards two-stroke engines. We're starting to see a step back from one of the most interesting underground developments in the city in the last few years. And what we envisioned was, well, battery swapping can solve both these problems. By moving from a unmanaged charging environment to a fully closed-loop managed charging environment where workers could just exchange batteries and save time, but importantly, save money too. The way our economics work, we could save delivery workers hundreds of dollars a year over the cost of managing and charging their own batteries. Or at least about a year ago, that was the theory. We had had our prototype cabinet, we had gotten our batteries UL certified, but we had one cabinet live in Williamsburg, and we really didn't have that kind of operational scale to see what a municipal scale battery swapping network would look like. And that's where the Newlab and DOT pilot came in. It was really exciting when we heard that they were working on a potential pilot to address solutions to the battery fire crisis, and that they identified 4 very different locations, to be able to deploy solutions to the battery fire crisis. So up there, that's Plaza de las Americas, that's 175th Street, up in Washington Heights. Huge delivery worker population. Interestingly, both a place where delivery workers both live and work. Over here behind me, that's Essex Market. That's on the Lower East Side, thanks to our friends at the EDC. We'll talk a little more about them in a second. Brooklyn Army Terminal, all the way down in Sunset Park, also part of the EDC. And then behind me, Cooper Square, heart of it all. One of the most high traffic areas I can think of, and a perfect place to really get a sense of what strong usage would look like. So this was an incredible chance for us to envision in a really concrete way what battery swapping in a municipal environment looks like. So how hard could it be? So putting a cabinet full of e-bike batteries in a public location is a little bit of a scary proposition to people. Over the last couple years, what people have internalized is not that a battery, when it's improperly managed and improperly charged, is dangerous. What they've internalized is e-bikes and batteries can be scary and dangerous. And we knew there was going to be resistance. We knew there was going to be fear and uncertainty and doubt. And one of the things that we're really grateful from our partners at DOT, from our partners at Newlab, is that they did a lot of the hard work of going to these location partners and making sure there was comfort, making sure that they understood what was going on was an increase, not a decrease in safety, that we were getting bad batteries off the streets, out of the basements, and into the sunlight where things could be managed and charged properly. It really was a team effort. This was at one of our onboarding days. You can see Itai and Mira from Newlab, but also I want to call out Seth and Irene from DOT, who have really been working hand in hand with us from day one on this to be able to make sure that we were really successful. John from EDC. It was an incredible collaboration to be able to go from 0 to cabinets deployed on the streets in an urban environment in just a matter of months. And sure enough, just about on February 29th, that's about 4 months after we kicked off, what you're seeing here is Commissioner Ydanis Rodriguez of the Department of Transportation performing the first ever battery swap at a public station in the United States. That was an incredible moment for us. I think it's an incredible moment for mobility in the city. And with that, we kicked off the pilot. And since then, we've seen tons of usage across all of our sites. So on any given day, You can go to any of our stations. You won't have to wait more than 15 minutes to see a delivery worker pull up, pull out a battery, return it to one of our slots. Our system is recognizing the battery, validating that it's safe, validating that it's passing all of our tests. And about 3 seconds later, they pull out a fresh battery, and they're going to put it in their bike, and they're going to ride away. The whole process takes 30 to 45 seconds, so they don't have to sit around waiting for a battery to charge. They don't have to sit around looking, and they're able to work longer hours. We're going to talk more about that in a second. So this pilot is still in progress. When it's over, our friends at the DOT are going to have some really interesting data to share. I'm excited to hear more about that. But I can tell you from our perspective, we've been thrilled with what we've seen so far. Not just that we've been able to deploy these cabinets, but we've seen in this incredible uptake from the delivery worker community. We've fully sold out our allocation almost immediately, and we have seen nothing but extended interest. Number one complaint from delivery workers is, how do we get more of these on the streets? We've seen high customer satisfaction and tons of usage. In fact, I say here we've done 1,000 swaps to date. We've actually now done 1,000 swaps at a single station, our Cooper Square location. We've done more than 2,000 swaps network-wide in just about 2 months. But it's not just about usage, it's about value. Informally, delivery workers are telling us, and this stat is actually, it's a typo there. It's not 1+ hours a week, it's 1+ hours a day more that they're able to work. So not only are we saving them money, but they're able to work longer hours, earn more money. For someone who came here who's looking to earn more, this is a really big deal for a technology to really be able to unlock additional economic value for them. And as a startup, it's been incredible too. As I mentioned, a year ago, we had good tech, we had a compelling vision, we had a real understanding of the problem we were solving, but we were still getting started. You can see here we've had some amazing press write-ups in New York Magazine, the New York Times, Technology Review, and it's had this incredible legitimizing effect on our business. Folks no longer look at us and say, oh, that could be interesting. Now they look at us and say, this will be interesting. We've had, I can't unfortunately put logos on the screen here, but we've had tons of the delivery apps, municipalities, investors. All of these things have all of a sudden materialized for us in ways we hadn't seen before. And so for us, this has really been a transformative moment, this pilot with Newlab, this pilot with the DOT. It's taken us, like I said, from being a maybe business to a this is going to happen business. And we're just incredibly grateful for all the work that's been done to help make it happen. And we're excited to see what's next. Thank you.